baby promos to tell like it is. Welcome back to another podcast. This time, coaching up. We're going to do coaching up today with your boy Brandon Harding. He's going through some deadlifts, so I'm going to bring you guys to a really good explanation on how to do deadlifts properly, most optimally for your gains. Anyway, guys, before we get started, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. A lot of you guys are watching the videos and not subscribing, so support your boy. Subscribe to the channel. Also, grab yourself a copy of the Ultimate Push-Pull Training ebook is out right now, guys. That book is absolutely filled with incredible knowledge and wealth for you guys to be able to take your training to the next level. I promise you guys, I did this myself. I wrote that thing front to back my entire self. And I'm telling you, people are benefiting from like crazy. It's awesome to see. Get it. Also, guys, I'm going to get everything at the start so you guys don't, most of you guys don't make it to the end of the video. So let's get this started right now, guys. Make sure you guys use my code Johnny15 for 50% off the Power 13 cookbook. Anyway, guys, if you want to know about coaching, guys, book a phone consult 15-30 minutes. At the end of the phone consult, I deduct the phone consult of any package you pick. So if it's a one-time plan or recurring plan, I deduct that consult for you. The recurring stuff, man, I coach up through the week. So we're coaching up form and all the good stuff. So really beneficial for you guys. Really want to take and change to the next level. Really getting that, one-on-one instruction, direction, accountability and whatnot. Get it. Also, guys, use my code Johnny30 for 30% off. Let'sGetChecked.com. Because, guys, we want to be healthy on the inside as well as the outside. Also, guys, use my code Johnny for 50% off FitArmy.com, and shirts are out. So head over to my site right now, grab the shirts. They are out right now. Let me show you. Couple, whatever. Shirt, iron, Shadburns iron, t-shirts, Kamino tees, scoop tees. I probably should be wearing one. We got tank tops too in red. The works are pretty dope. So they're out finally for you guys. Thank you again for making that possible. Anyway, let's go on with this right now. We're going to go on with Brandon Harding is doing his deadlifts today. He's doing a 575 pounds deadlift PR. So I kind of watched the video. I did a little instruction like I did last time. I found like you guys liked the way I did that format, basically, kind of talk about it this way and then basically show it through me actually doing the movement. So I did the movements already. So we're going to go over just like his deads. We're going to go over this video and just watch, because I'm a lot of these things, a lot of guys do this all the time. We're talking about deadlifting. So let's get on right now. Boom. Intros. He's got this nastiest. He's got one of the best intros, I think, right now, actually. Boom. So his brace broke the brace. You see it? The brace came, right? So we're talking like brace. Your brace is basically like when you engage your core and your, basically like think about your torso. And when you engage your core, depress your shoulders and whatnot, your torso doesn't move. So say this is like, this is like, get away from my wonky finger here. Let's just say this part is your torso, right? We want this, we want it to kind of stay in this position no matter where we are at the lift, whether we're at the top or the bottom, whatever. So having a strong brace means when we're lifting up, we're basically, built to hinge in a sense. This thing doesn't kind of do this. So like what he was doing, he was in his deadlift position here. He's trying to lift the weight up. He's trying to pull. Then all of a sudden, brace is broke. He doesn't go up. That's the way you do it. Don't go up if you can't get up. Most guys will do this. They'll go up. They'll be here. Then they're like coming up. Then all of a sudden they'll be like, and they lift their whole back up, and their entire body, their L, T, and C spine flex. Your C spine is cervical spine. Your T spine is your thoracic spine, and your L spine is lumbar spine. If you guys want to know what that means by T spine, it's a majority of the vertebrae that are sitting from like the top of your neck-ish to like right to your lower back. So you can see how much of that part of your spine takes up your entire back. So we want to make sure I stay straight, because like your back, like your vertebrae is like a snake. A snake is one big long vertebrae. You see when it moves, it does this. Snakes don't move rigidly. It's because when one vertebrae moves, everything moves. It does this kind of thing. So that's how it moves around, right? That's how our vertebrae works. The same thing. When one thing breaks this way, the rest of it folds like this, right? So we want to keep it straight this way. So if we bend at the C spine, the cervical spine, it's very seldom that this will happen. And, domino effect of this round bullshit that happens at the end of your deadlift. So when we're looking at him deadlift, so watch, when he's coming up, right up. So like, see, he's low. His back's kind of like his back kind of rounded right here. He's gonna load. Right now, if you look at his traps, like when he comes up, see how his traps grabbed? That means his right now we know that he's not engaging his lats. So when I say engage lats, pretend like someone's, tickling your armpits. We're trying to pull that down because as soon as he comes up, he's getting this thing out with sheer brute force and strength. He's a strong ass dude. He's got strong muscles. He's got strong joints. He's going to get it up. So if you watch it, it comes up, it comes down again. Boom. Smack. Right? And we want at that point at the bottom, I'm going to show you guys through the little clip I'm going to show you guys in a second here of what I mean by loading and really, engaging your lats, shoulder depression, and then pushing through the floor. And your shoulder pressure, your core is going to help. It might seem like the first lift will come up real slow, but just trust your brace. Sometimes it takes a long time for the one lift to come up, but if you trust your brace, your strength, and use your legs to get it up, you'll get it up, right? But most people, they panic way too early, and then they just force to let their back roll, and they just try and brute force pull it up. So we're going to watch him do it again. This isn't his max. It's a good set. So now we got a double here going on here. So we got a bigger lift. So again, I'm gonna go when it comes to your 1 rep max, it doesn't really matter what max you're doing. When you're doing multiple deadlifts in a row, conventional sumo, if you're gonna touch and go, we still have to keep continuing to brace, engaging our lats. Sometimes when you touch and go, we lose all that, and we're just kind of bouncing and catching the recoil, and then bouncing back up. So we're gonna watch him do his 2. All right, so here we go. So there, boom. So a couple things. When your butt comes off the ground, the plates come off the ground. That's the rule, right? Because if your butt comes off the ground and your plate doesn't come off the ground, that means your back is gonna catch the weight. You know what I mean? You're leaving the weight on the ground before your body's actually lifting it up. So then your back starts lifting more than your legs should be helping in the beginning. So we're gonna watch this real slow, boom, boom. There you go. Now a jerk up, right? So they see a switch over to his back. There's a switch over to his back. He didn't trust his brace and sit back a little bit. Trust the glutes. The glutes in this movement are extremely important. If you look at the way the glutes are, like when we're trying to explain hip hinging. Oh, this is perfect. We're using Batman. All right. Here's your hip. Okay. This is a nice cup too. Your big is bag and hold like this, right? So here's Batman right here, right? Here's your hip. Here's the front of your hip, right? When we posterior or anterior pelvic tilt or posterior pelvic tilt, doing a little bit of this. Anyway, so when we're in this position, if you see where his hips are in relation to where the bar is, right? When you're in a deadlift position, you hinge and your butt's like this, right? And then so basically the top of your pelvis. Once you come up, your glutes are engaged the most when they're doing this, and they have to do this because that's their job. Their job it helps with back extension, but also does help with, obviously hip flexion and then hip extension. So once we have hip flexion and then hip extension, that's the biggest part of that hinge that's moving the entire body, right? So once this goes like this, right? This, and the weight's coming up, and then we're starting to kind of do this, the back's taking over already, right? So if you're watching what he's doing right away, we watch his lift, boom, see that his hips are still in this position. Those hips need to be doing, the second he starts going up, the hips need to do, boom, this. Need to do that. They don't need to do this and then this, right? And that's what we're getting. That's why a lot of you guys get this. So we're going to show lift. Boom, and then down, and then a big, watch. Right? Like, awesome lift. Unbelievable lift. But I tell you right now, I can guarantee he can put on more weight on that bar if he does what I say do. So I'm gonna give you guys gold today. I'm gonna give you guys the most easiest way to explain doing a conventional deadlift. Now, easy things to see that Brandon did wrong in his lift is I see it all the time, and it's a big jerk from the bottom, a pull from the back. So we get this kind of like setup where we're like here. We have really good flat back, but then we kind of do this thing where we're going and doing this. So the jerk comes from the back, and then we're standing up forward. And we want this lift to be more from like a leg pushing through the ground type movement. So what I do is a couple things first. If we're looking at like where we should we set up when it comes to like, shoulder width apart, literally do spin around in a circle, Jump in there as high as you can and land. And where you land naturally is where your feet should be naturally, because it runs through your proper hinge or your natural hinge. So if you just jump naturally, where your legs go is where you naturally probably are. Either way, we're gonna step to it. The bar is gonna come either like right by our shoelace or like literally touching, right? We don't have to touch, so you want it like by your shoelace or touching your shins. Our setup is gonna be this. We want to, when your butt comes off the ground, that's when the weight comes off the ground. I'll do this really quick for you. That's what I'm talking about. When we're fully engaged and our brace is engaged from here, when my butt comes off the ground, the weight should come off the ground. That's what I mean by when it comes to, engaging your lats, making sure your butt comes off the ground. Hope that clip makes sense to you. So let's just go on from here, because they basically just end up doing, a couple, pull movements, which I think is good. Once you don't have to be in the gym for so long, especially doing like big compound movements like that. He's doing a big, huge, conventional deadlift day. He's going to get a ton of back activation doing it properly. He's going to get a ton of lats, ton of erectors, tons of rhomboids, tons of everything. At that point, you can, you don't have to sit in the gym for another hour doing a bunch of pulling movements. It's kind of redundant at that point. You've taxed your C enough, right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can, you don't have to keep beating a dead horse. Find a few movements in the end that are going to complement this, right? Vertical pulls. You definitely want to work on your lats, being, the lat engaging. You understand like where the lats do, right? We do shoulder pressure, do anterior rotation. So it does this and this, right? Pull the shoulders down, anterior rotates, right? So we want to work this movement and we want to work this movement, the opposite of what it's actually doing. So it doing the pulling down here, we want to do all those pulls. And since it does do anterior rotation this way, we want to pull back and do all that this way. So we're working the back width and thickness, right? So it's good. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you guys want to deadlift and just see how strong you are and all good stuff, go right for it. Just be smart about it, right? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Period. If you do movements that have a high chance of injury, the more you do it, the probability of you doing it, of getting injured, is going to happen. The more you do the more you do like 1 rep maxes, 1 to 3 rep maxes, right? So my advice for those who are doing this is like, I would literally just kind of chill out and, work reps, work good hypertrophy reps, and it'll help build. You don't have to tax the joints, muscles that much. We gotta fix this. Pop, pop, pop.
1 hour later.
Okay, so we're heading on to now rows. So like, listen, guys, there's always a time and a place to really just smash the weights. You know what I mean? Like to throw things around. If you have control, when you have control of the weight, it's just like a boxer, right? Boxers don't throw a bunch of haymakers. Boxers throw precise, calculated punches, and those punches are extremely fast, but they have control over those punches. Those who don't have control, who try to box in a sense, will just throw a bunch of haymakers, out of control swings that have really no merit to do, just have no reason behind it, just throwing for some reason, right? That's what I look at when it comes to momentum in training. If you know what you're doing and you've done the basics and you have control, this and that and the other, then yes, go for it. Swing the weights around, because I know you can control your body. But those who don't, stick to some of these tips. But I want to show you what he's doing. Right, a couple things like he has control of the weight. I'm not trying to say he doesn't have control, but some things he's doing in his setup that can help him be a little more optimal when it comes. First thing we're gonna look at is like the other shoulder, the bracing shoulder, that's helping him move the weight around. Right, I want to make sure when I'm pulling that weight that I'm not, I'm not, pushing on that and that shoulder kind of doing all this stuff. The shoulder is my brace to hold myself there where I can isolate this other arm. So I almost suggest wherever the weight is on wherever your arm is placed on the bench, make sure you are pressing into it as if, shoulder depression, as if you were doing, a pressing movement for that arm to stabilize a little more. And then, when you're pulling, again, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean, but we'll just watch a couple more reps from him. You're looking at like just isolating and whatnot. Look at the other arm. I would like the other arm a little more. See, that's better. This is what I'm talking about here. So I'm actually going to go through this. So this is really good. I take this. I like taking guys like this and, showing you guys how to optimize your training through what they're doing. Sometimes they're doing things right. Sometimes they're doing things not as optimal. And I take what they're doing and optimizing in a sense. So, okay, so this is where I want to look. This is where I'm looking here. I'm watching him do this.
6, 2 more, 1 more.
Right? Good lifting too, but a lot of times too is we want to take out the hips as well. We don't want to, rely on so much of the hips, to create momentum. It's good, once you're lifting heavy weight, yes, but I would say like just trying to get your best with progressing up that you can control that weight. That's my biggest thing when it comes to training. I'm extremely strong when it comes to moving a lot of weight because I have complete control over the weight. And that control allows me to be able to activate muscles a lot more optimally and to be able to create the physique that I want when it comes to body recomp. So I'm going to show you guys my, dumbbells. Check this out, look at it, and, use this when you're doing any kind of rowing on a bench or on a rack or whatever. Okay, so when we're doing dumbbell rows, there's going to be a very consistent posture I want you to have doing any type of row, whether you're, leaning without the bench, you're just leaning on the top of the bench, whether you're actually on the bench or hang off the side of a rack. The posture you want to have is the same posture you'd have if you're doing a hinge again. You want to push yourself in this position, right? So from here, before I start, I want to push myself back in this position where I can be here, right? If I want a little more range of motion, I can step back even more, hinging myself back, and then I'll keep myself aligned from here to here. So I want to be in this posture from here, hinging back to be able to keep this. We don't want to have this kind of thing like this, or kind of like this, or kind of doing this thing, and I see most time this and just rolling and doing this here. We want to give ourselves a good base and be stable, using our chest, activating our shoulder to pressure from here, and using that for leverage. So when I do a row from the side, my brace, my leverage still comes from this hinging position. I'm doing a row. So from here, I'm still here. I'm gonna grab my weight, pull to here, and I'm gonna place myself where I should be flat from here. Then I can pull across. So if I'm staggered, same thing, hips are back, but I'm still pulling, right? I'm not trying to do this, and I'm not just trying to do this. I'm using leverage from both from here and my feet. So 1, 2, 3. From here pulling, so I'm pulling from here. I'm engaged from here and we're pulling. So if I go from this side as well, it'd be the same thing. If the back of the bench is this high, it's the same idea, where I'm here. And I can bend a little bit, but I want to finish level from across here. If it's lower, it's the same thing. We still want to hinge back from here. This is our leverage, 1, 2, 3. From here, then we can pull and pull. And finishing even across, right? And we can go all the way further down to even from here. And same thing from here. The greater range of motion, same idea. Pull and finish here. Finish. Level shoulders across. Okay, we're gonna go to rowing. So this machine is dope. And I'm gonna say something right now for this guy. For this right now, rowing is good. I'm not gonna take away from this at all. When it comes to rowing, what I want you guys to think about when it comes to rowing is pushing those elbows to the floor when you row. So what I mean by pushing the elbows to the floor is that like think about if you're using a handle, that you're pushing the handle down when you're rowing. That's gonna help activate your lats more. It's gonna force you to activate your lats when you're pulling. A lot of people when they pull, they're not really feeling their lats activated because they're mostly pulling with their rhomboids, traps, and their biceps, because they're literally, their lats are kind of like this, or they're not pushing, they're not pushing down on an arm. So push down the elbows when you're rowing, and you'll find that much more activation, right, when you're pulling, right? So I put a little video too when it comes to just rowing as well too, when it comes to just, pull downs as well. When you're doing pull downs, right, the biggest thing is that people ask all the time, how wide should my hands be? Well, we got to look at range of motion, right? So if my hands are this wide, right, if I go wide, the range of motion is basically, the greatest range of motion is where your elbow comes to the side. So pulling your elbow down, you're raising yourself up. So if I look at my hand this way, where's the greatest range of motion? When my hand is here or out here? Look where I have to pull out. My range of motion is gone. I can't really pull that much when I'm out this way. So if I'm here and I'm pulling down, there's a greater range of motion just being slightly outside shoulder width apart. Now again, we still want to kind of have a little bit of that anterior rotation, but like if you think about like externally rotating or taking your hands and trying to bend the bar while you're pulling down, you're going to find your lats activate that much more. As well as, engaging your chest, getting it up, increasing the opening of your clavicle, getting yourself open so you can really activate your lats, and then pulling, and then activating your core as well too. So don't think you have to keep pulling and arching back into this crazy hyperextension thing in the back. We want to pull with the core. You want to fight with the core pulling up and the chest at the same time. So try and do that. Push through your core while pulling your chest up. Like literally, like squeeze, push, while pulling your chest up. And do that when you're pulling down, and you'll find that much more. So check this little clip. Use this when you're doing your pull downs. Check it out.
Okay, so when we're thinking about pull downs, the sets are pretty good, but try not to bend back too much. And again, the wider you go isn't necessarily going to give you wider lats. The wider you go is going to give you less range of motion for that elbow to come to the side, right? So you want to be about, a little outside shoulder width apart when you're doing your pull down. Now, if you have a machine or a hand like this, or you have one that's like this is gonna be a little wider than most, so you can grab in here. It's gonna give you the same principle as a guy like this anyway, just a little thinner from here. So just for the sake, I'll use that. But again, we're looking at terms of range of motion. We want elbows coming down to the side and trying to keep your body as upright as you can. So from here, you don't wanna start going back like this because we're pulling to our back. You want to pull down to the side, engage your core, and pulling up. I'm pulling down, elbows and to come to the side and up. Big chest, elbows aside, and come up. It's almost like if I was doing a shoulder press and a pull down. Pull down, overhead shoulder press. Pull down, overhead shoulders. Pull down, overhead shoulders. And that's what you should kind of think about when you're doing pull downs. The range of motion from elbow coming to the side of the body. I think a little bit outside shoulder width apart, not too far, but just enough where you can get good activation in your lats. And then you can do a little bit of like internal rotation by just external rotation, almost pressing or trying to bend the bar like this while you're pulling down, and you'll get your lats that much more engaged.
So yeah, it's good pull. We're watching these guys pull, like very good. Like, those elbows coming right down to the side. That's what we want. We want good range of motion, right? Now, again, when it comes to pulling, I'm just going to reiterate again. We're not trying to pull the elbows back. We're trying to pull the elbows down. All right, and that is it for that video. So, guys, I just want to take a video. Like, this is what I like doing these videos, is taking some guys, some big influencers out there that I know you guys watch, and taking them and correcting their form or using their good form to show you guys how to do, what they're trying to do, and explain it a little more in the most simplest ways that you can understand, right? Because not everybody understands crazy terminology and everything else. We just want to know how to do things. We need to know the scientific word for anything, right? We just want to know how to move. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video, guys. If you did, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We come with the tell like it is, transparent, vulnerable truth. If a coach is just like the beginning of the video, jonni.shreve.com. If you want to know about coaching, guys, book a phone consult, 15 to 30 minutes. At the end of that phone consult, if you want to go with coaching, whether it's a one-time plan or recurring plan, I deduct the phone consult off any package you pick. Also, guys, grab that book. Ultimate Push-Pull Legs Training ebook is out there. Jammed with information. Grab it. Grab it. Also use my code Johnny15 for 50% off the Power 30 Cookbook. Also use my code Johnny for 50% off videoarmy.com, and use my code Johnny30 for 30% off letsgetchecked.com, guys. Anyway, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Send me your training clips, your progress pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you. So you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life in the meantime. Keep dream chasing. Peace.